So, Askeladd, you plan to take them over Caradhras. And if that fails, where then will you go? If the mountains defeat you, will you risk a more dangerous road?
What is the more dangerous road, though?
I don't know. Alright, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Vinland Saga.
Alright, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Vinland Saga, Season 1, Episode 14. Alright.
Okay.
Alright.
So, we are
Yeah.
indeed here. And Ragnar is very proud because Canute hath spoken.
His son is speaking and making friends. It's beautiful.
Yeah, how to
Oh
win
my
friends
God.
and influence Vikings. So,
Yes, how to talk to strangers
Yep.
that curse at you and call you mean names.
that's right. That's
Yes,
right.
Yes.
And he stood up for himself. He's told them all off. And now,
and then he sat down in a huff. Yeah.
yes. But now they might actually be able to be friends. Him and Thorfinn. So
I mean, that is a thing, yeah. We are having a bit of an issue with snow coming down.
Yes.
Bjorn is having little bits of doubts regarding Askeladd and all the secrets he's keeping, which
Right.
might be a thing later. Askeladd has his plan in motion, but they still have to beat Thorkel
right.
to their target. Now,
And they do have the head start and everything, but yeah.
Now, again, for those of you that might just be jumping in, I have a little bit of knowledge regarding history and certain things there. So I'm going to, every once in a while, say things that
Seem prescient.
Yeah. But
Like mentioning that you know about history right here.
well, also just saying that, keep that as a grain of salt if it ever looks like what Caleb, clearly...
he knows
it's known
something. Yeah.
It's known that this is going to be this way, but not just that, but maybe throwing in some misdirects so that Jacob doesn't.
Sure. I'm well familiar with misdirects, Caleb.
Yeah, I am learning your ways that you had in Attack on Titan.
Indeed.
Yes, it's
Indeed.
It's quite difficult actually. It's
Isn't it?
really freaking hard.
But
so,
oh boy, this episode should be a good one.
this episode should be a good one. There's there's a lot of opportunity for an opportunist, let's
right?
just say,
because let's just
going.
say Canute cannot properly grow and stand on his own two legs with Ragnar there.
Yeah.
So, but they also want to stay in Canute's good graces.
Exactly. And who knows? Saruman could cast some kind of lightning bolt, and
he
accidents could happen.
He definitely could.
That's true. So y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. Oh. Whoa.
Wait.
どうしても私たちは清くなければいけませんか？あなたの言いつけを守らない者は天使でさえ罰せられると。
Why do I feel like I recognize this voice actress?
私のような者にあ
Aww.
なたのおぼし飯はわかりません。
Aww.
ただ、私にはあなたの天の国はとても遠くに感じられます。
So she has a ring on.
Oh, she's hiding it?
Yeah.
あなたが天に差し、
Yeah.
私たちを見ていらっしゃることが、私には
Wow. It's gorgeous.
Wow.
Dang. All right. Yeah, I love this OP, y'all. Like, the first one was amazing, too, but...
Yeah. Like, the first one felt a lot more personal. This one feels a lot more just epic. Oh, boy.
Yeah, the scale is so much bigger.
Uh-huh.
Oh, nice. The snake on the back. I just realized that, yeah.
That pose for
yeah.
Canute, like,
Uh-huh.
oh, man.
Yep.
Yep.
Like that was some gut stuff, like dodging the blade just at the last second.
And like the axes look so small, like in Thorkel's hands, but then when you see them next to Thorfinn's head, like, no, those are huge.
Yeah.
Those are huge.
Oh,
okay.
That's good. Okay, so we're going into more Christianity stuff here. Okay. Yeah, he's thinking back. Yep.
Wait, are we getting backstory for these guys?
I think so, yeah.
That's disconcerting.
Ah, we know that, yeah. It depends on how much.
Yeah,
I was waiting for that. It's that meme, you know?
That pose is amazing, but like, in Vinland Saga, really?
Combination!
私が戦場に立ったとして、あなたは私の背後を守ってくださいますか？ああ？何言ってんだ？兄者とだからやれるんだっつうの。だから違う。すみませんがわかるよ。
Right, unconditional
right.
love.
If it was for someone that you had no connection to.
Right. Yeah. This is cool. They're trying to define what love is, you know?
Yeah.
And they're using only one word, which sucks because there's a lot of other words that the Greeks used, but like they're displaying phileo, you know, brotherly love, essentially. But okay.
Oh, no way.
Oh, dang.
What?
We're going all the way back to that in the first episode?
Yeah.
Oh, he's like,
you have my attention.
Yeah.
他に何かしましたか？
その野郎も妙なことを言ってたぜ。
What did he say?
当の戦士に
Oh.
はいらない。あとかなんとか
He's like, oh. He's like, I have to go pray about this.
Oh yeah, and his son's still with us.
おい、どこ行くんだよ、おい。
This whole exchange is so brilliant. Oh.
なんなんだよ、坊主よ。今のは当たりか愛か
Whoa.
本当の戦士。
Dang. Okay.
That was awesome.
That
I
was so
loved that
cool.
exchange.
Look at these grim faces. Oh, crap.
Oh, that's bad.
Yikes. Yeah. Yeah, this was intentional.
私の手下は修羅場をくぐってきてるんです。この程度のことじゃビクビクしませんよ。木を漕いで進むんなら戦利品は捨てねばなりません。
Oh.
納得しないでしょう。
Yeah.
どちらに
Uh-huh.
今夜は漏洩は無理です。
That too.
Mm-hmm.
アシェラット、準備万端だ。
孫友の襲撃、略奪は我らノルド人の伝統。
Oh, gotcha.
Yep.
Hence we started with the, yep.
No,
This
just
is-
island hop.
Yep.
天に弱します我らの父よ。
Oh.
私たちの日ごとの
And this is the dad of the family. Yeah.
Yeah.
私たちが集まってするように
It's multi-generational too. We even have a grandpa here, the kids, and they're doing the Lord's Prayer. That's why
the way
she
they
was
show the
saying,
hands as being all cracked and like red and blistered and stuff. It's like,
yeah, I think that's them basically just. Remember when she said in the beginning, your kingdom in heaven feels so far away.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yes, 様がそうしろとおっしゃったからさ。
不信心者は死んだら地獄に落ちるんだ。
クマ怖い。
父ちゃんも怖い。でもお祈りする良い子。天国に。
and who eat their vegetables and
yeah, exactly. You can add all kinds of things to scare people into doing.
もうじきみんな天国か地獄に連れてかれるなんて。
家族がバラバラになったら嫌だわね。
でも父ちゃん、どうして神様は急にこの世をお裁きになろうとするの？
You're right to question. Yeah.
裁きで悪党はみんな地獄。
Oh my god, the art. Holy crap.
yeah.
悪党は天
おお、あいつら超悪。きっと神様はああいう連中が湧いてくるのをご存知だったんだろうな。
Right, because it always has to happen in their lifetime, in your time, and...
おしっこ。
Is she secretly engaged to like a Dane or something?
I don't know. But that ring is a thing, so... Oh.
でも素敵。
Oh.
またはめちゃった。
But maybe it's not a...
どうするんだろうこの指輪。
Maybe it's not that. Maybe it's just that it's a thing that is from the Danes or what have you. Or she stole it, or...
Maybe.
Oh, okay, here's the story for it.
あれは悪魔が誘惑。
Oh, so she just stole it.
Oh
お
man.
金もないのに悪い子は。
Oh.
裁きの日に地獄へ落ちるんだわ。
Oh.
きっと家族の中で私だけ。
Oh, and she feels like she's
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah,
separated
yeah.
and stuff. So she doesn't feel like she deserves to be at the table even when they're all...
Yeah.
She just chucks it. Oh. No. No. I was waiting for that. I'm like, put it on the other finger now. Oh, crap. Oh, that's what's gonna save her. No.
Oh, man.
Oh, crap. No. All these adorable kids. Yeah.
チーズ。晩ご飯拝見。
Oh.
Wow.
Wow.
生き返るわ。なんだここんちは。ガキが多いな。なんだね。あんたたちは。大麦のミルクがゆと干し肉が少々。玉ねぎ入ったらひでえもん食ってんな。
Oh. Crap. Come on.
なんなのあなた。
No.
Don't.
祭りして。間違えた。
Yeah. Oh.
おい、おっさん。おら。食い物全部出せ。殺すぞ。
Oh my god.
Oh boy.
Ah, brutal.
二人で一人前として50人。ってことは冬越しの食料も50人分か。104人の戦士には足りねえな。神父よ。
Wow.
あんたは王子殿。
He got pummeled.
一応この兵団の客だ。一度だけ許す。だが次邪魔をすればその場で殺す。
Oh, yeah. Oh.
頼む。食べるものを半分。せめて半分残してくれないか。
Oh.
なんとか冬は越せる。大丈夫。あんた方のことは考えてあるよ。
Oh.
冬越しの心配はしなくていい。
Oh, because you're all gonna be dead.
本当にか。本当さ。来年も再来年ももう。
Yep. And then this track comes in.
は非戦闘員だ。 生かしておいてもこいつらに食わす飯はねえ。一人でも脱走されたら敵地の真ん中でもたつ。
Oh, one of them.
Yeah.
One of them.
Uh-huh.
The poor girl's going to be separated from her family in this hell exactly
Holy crap.
exactly like she thought they would.
だからなんすか。王子殿下の御ためにはこれが最善ですよ。質
Oh.
問なる方は
Oh, y'all.
Yeah.
This is there's multiple things going at this level here.
Uh-huh.
やれ。
Yep. 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 And the beginning of the episode.
Wow.
Oh my god. And
Okay.
ah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
even the
we were
kids.
just given a harsh reminder. This is a
Yep.
brutal time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
I don't think she'll even be able to make it.
I mean, if she knows where the people are or what have you, like, I could see her walking more than a few miles.
Yeah, and granted, back then, like,
Well, it just means that
like-
she's been through many winters and stuff like that. And she's not a child. Like, she's growing up. And
mm-hmm. Wow. Uh,
父ちゃんや母ちゃんじいちゃん弟や妹は
uh,
そちらに着きましたか。
oh.
ドキドキしてるんだもの。あんなにもあなたの罰を恐れない人たちがいるなんて。
Wow.
yeah.
私は今ドキドキしてるの。
Oh. Holy crap.
Yep.
Yep.
Or wait. Oh.
Oh, now she's gonna feel like she was saved. So, she can
Wow.
keep going.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome!
That episode was amazing.
That was so
That
good!
was amazing.
Oh my god!
Ooh.
It was perfectly self-contained in the narrative it wanted to tell, like, with its themes and stuff, but then it also advanced the overall winter struggle plotline
Yep,
with Askeladd's
yep.
men and Ragnar, Canute, Thorfinn, and all them. Wow.
Wow.
And the CD also is really good.
Like, this is how you do like, oh man, it was just so good because they could have this girl become a recurring character down the road,
I mean,
or not.
nothing. Yeah.
Maybe she just delivers the message and then that's it, you know, right? But even if this was all we got, even if she actually just died there, you know, like even if she just froze to death that night, right? This would still
And
be.
they show her stepping back up again as a sign of her.
No. I'm saying not saying as in that actually happened, but even if they had done this episode differently,
Oh, gotcha.
you know, and completely closed it off there,
Yeah.
right? Still would be
yeah.
amazing.
It would be incredible. All right.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. That episode.
I loved how they tackled religion in this episode.
Oh, it was excellent.
This is one of my favorite, like, television episodes of handling the aspect of, specifically Christianity, because in this violent, brutal world where having any kind of faith would be either, it would be very polarizing.
Yeah.
You would either have none because, you know, in some ways, how could you? And in
or
some
it would
ways,
be all you have kind of a thing.
Or it would be something that you would so lean on in the mystical, crazy sense because it's the only thing that gives you like this feeling of escape from the brutality of this
that
world.
there's some reason for the suffering kind of a
Yeah,
thing.
and I think that a lot of ways we don't need to have it be faith necessarily in order to believe in something like that. Sometimes, you know, in this kind of instance there, they have it be this thing where it's like, I believe in my brother, you know, I trust in them, and that's all I need. Or I, you know, have these mystical other things where it's not necessarily as much about like belief in a religion necessarily, but just something about, well, my death will at the very least have, you know, bountiful feasts waiting at the end of it because I'll go to the halls of Valhalla with my ancestors and it'd be like, oh, okay, cool. But in this one, we start off the episode talking about what love is, and we're having our interactions with the priest, which I don't remember if they've actually even given the name
He
of.
might not, And,
I don't think they have. But basically, he's discussing with the two Viking
goobers that
brothers,
JoJo
you know,
pose, among other things, like
okay, so there's the JoJo pose, and then there's the, you know, the anime display of brilliance in the background, and all that's wonderful. But I love how they were basically saying, hey, we're gonna try and connect with you on this whole love thing, because you were saying that's what's really important. So I mean, you have your love of alcohol, and hey, we know what love is. Like on the battlefield, we're brothers and we trust each other. There's this camaraderie.
There's this, we have each other's backs.
We can read each other's minds. We're joined at the hip. It's beautiful.
And it's so great. I love it because
that is love.
That is love.
That totally is love.
Right? And it's the whole thing of, and it's both getting at exactly why you know, like Christianity spread like it did back then, and you know, and like why people accepted it so much, but then also like why even like just how incredible it could be to have this idea of love, you know, in a situation where people just butcher an entire small village because, you know, we need your food and
we need to survive,
and we don't want anyone to tell the story of, you know, that we came through here. So you know, so we're just gonna do this, and sucks, you know, too bad there's women and kids, you know, like you're all dead, you know.
It came down to a simple thing of counting up their numbers.
Right, exactly.
And just finding out that based on the food that they had and the number of people that they have, we're not going to.
And what's crazy here is that leave us half the food, right? Okay, sure. So maybe that only would have been enough because that was for that number of people to last the winter.
Right.
So what it really would have been is that then Askeladd and his men would have had enough food for like a quarter of the winter.
Yeah.
Right? So they would have had to do it again, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to here, where now they have enough food for half the winter, and hopefully that's enough to get to where they need to go. Cool.
Right.
You know, but oh man, like that's it's brutal. But then the idea that in the midst of that, even for these people that are going around just, you know, raiding and pillaging and killing and all that stuff, there's still this understanding that you know, a life without love is no life at all, right?
Yeah,
and that
so
they need that.
Yeah, so the priest ends up having this really cool conversation where he brings up the idea that, no, the love I'm talking about is more along the lines of agape. This is something where you shouldn't have any kind of value that you gain in the immediate sense from loving me. That is the kind of love that I basically worship in a way. Yeah, that's what I ascribe to believe in.
And that's why when he heard the story about Thor's, he was like,
He's like, whatever that is, that guy was living from a reality that all of us here don't understand.
Yeah. And I get the feeling that the reason why that stood out to him so much is because, and you know, because this whole drinking thing is because he thinks about how he is not that kind of person.
Yeah.
Right. And then,
definitely.
you know, and hence, you know, the drink and things like that. But then he sees like, wait, no, someone was actually doing that. They were fighting against their enemies, but they didn't actually kill any of them. And wait. So
because in some ways, I guess. Sorry, keep going.
Well, but just the idea that that's something that would be that so. It so doesn't make sense. It so shouldn't exist in this world that they live in.
Right. You think about the tenets of Christianity.
Mhm.
It's the, love your enemies, basically.
Right, exactly.
So how do you do that? That's just something that I'd say in a lot of ways it doesn't really make sense.
It breaks the law of equivalent exchange.
Well, no, it breaks the law of survival, Jacob. You don't love your enemies. You either run away from your enemies or you fight your enemies.
Right.
So this guy basically went into now I had to fight them, but I don't want to kill them.
Right.
Because also there's the, do not murder, do not kill, or what have you. So he's going to try and walk the thin line, and the only reason why he's really able to do that is because he's been gifted with the body of a Norse demigod.
Right.
So he doesn't have to worry about the physical repercussions of his very strange actions until that day,
dies.
and then he died.
Right.
And here's the thing, like, I love that his death is something that is having these rippling effects, these repercussions on people that he never even met. Because the stories that end up getting passed along at this time are what ends up becoming history.
Sure.
Like, a lot of things aren't going to be written down. A lot of things are going to be passed by
word of mouth,
hearsay, word of mouth, and then that second-hand information or third-hand information,
or
then
sixth-hand information,
then that gets written down.
Yeah.
And that becomes history. And Thor is here really being etched into the mind of all of them as this legend. They don't even know his name.
Right. He was just some dude.
Well, no, he was a monster.
No, I know,
that,
but
the idea that his name won't be remembered, he'll get no renown from this.
Exactly.
From these people specifically.
Right.
But the priest then recognized, maybe even in some ways, that if there was someone that held to the tenets of,
I could
my
too.
God, and well, not that, just that it's possible and stuff like that. Then maybe there are others out there, like there are others out there that I could essentially, like, because I want to go with what you're saying. What you're saying, maybe I could too. But like, do you feel like it's more of a thing with the warrior thing, or you think it's more general?
Well, no, the warrior thing is an example. Like the priest wouldn't care if there's a warrior that was able to best 30 men without killing them.
Right.
He cares about what that represents.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's the idea that, okay, yeah, here's someone who exemplified that because there's warriors, right? There's warriors right in front of him, and they care about each other, right? But it's they care about each other because they watch each other's backs. And when he asks them, would you look out for me like that? They're like, what? No, of course not. This guy's my brother. You're just some, drunk priest, right?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, that's because that's the kind of thing that he's looking for, where it doesn't make sense, right? And then here they talk of an example that's exactly what he means, right? Exactly what he's looking for, and it just blows his mind.
Right. So then your connection from that was then
it's an extrapolation based off of the idea that his drinking is because he sees how he is basically not worthy or something, and that's probably why they showed some of his backstory here. There was a point where he was in the monastery in the active pursuit of his faith basically, and there came a point where he's not in the monastery anymore.
Well, right, but we don't know what that reason was. That could be anything.
Yes, it definitely could be. I'm just going off of what little we have for the priest.
Right, for sure. Okay, so then, yeah, I guess that definitely does make sense. That's good. Do you think then that they're trying to draw the connection towards the priest with the daughter in the latter half of the episode? In that someone who feels that they have failed, they're unworthy, and they've done basically something little, but for some reason it's locked them out of the good graces of their God.
Well, yeah, it's the whole dichotomy of how religion so often just ends up turning into judgment, basically.
Yeah, it's basically what kind of scary thing ends up getting held over people. So
can you use to get your kids to eat their vegetables?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I love how they showcase that, because it was something that absolutely was not malevolent in any way on the part of the dad. He's just eat your porridge and
listen to your parents.
And listen to your parents, right? But
you'll survive this way.
Right, you'll survive this way, right? Yeah. Teachings that are very important to have.
For kids.
Right, for kids and everything.
Yeah.
And yet that's not the kind of thing that makes people, like say the priest, become so obsessed with this, you know, where it's, I need to find this because there's something that goes beyond just the muck and the blood, right?
Yeah.
Because the whole idea of if you do something you're not supposed to, you know, there will be judgment for it. That's you know, kind of like this world rules. You know, if you don't have enough food for the barbarians and yourselves, you end up getting killed. You know,
the whole you reap what you sow kind of thing is present in tons of faiths, religions, and even just society ways of things running.
Whereas then what the priest is talking about, he's like, no, but what if all those rules were broken?
Right. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be incredible? Wouldn't that be something worth more than gold?
Yeah. Yeah. But bringing up the whole idea of love being the thing that, you know, motivates people beyond just this mundane bit there brings up the whole subject of the family and their family being the one that is something that I almost think is something that's kind of interesting here. Do you remember when the Vikings or Bjorn or whichever one it was remarked on how many kids there were?
Oh yeah. Yep.
So they come in there and they're like, "What the heck?
So many
kids." Yeah. Like, isn't that the epitome of the, you know, well, we love, so we're not really necessarily thinking as much about like what's the most optimal or survival or what have you and stuff like that. Where I think that's something that's kind of interesting to think about, is that this family was so tightly knit together. They have, you know, previous generations there. They've got, you know, this whole setup there, and they're you know, figuring everything out and stuff like that. And they didn't even have enough for getting through the winter, did they? Oh no, they never counted.
Did.
They never counted the villagers. That's right.
Yeah,
they had more than enough to get through the winter. Yeah, exactly. But just basically how quickly it went towards the father basically just begging Askeladd, like, please, just let us have enough to survive. Even if I almost could envision him basically going, if there's half, I can at least give up all my portions and make things there to where I could you know, save a lot of my family. Yeah, it's the sacrificial love, I think, at that point there, where there is a gain for you, in that there is something where it's like, my family is really important to me,
right?
But it's not something that's going to lead to your survival, and or to my own survival. Imprinting as the father here, I think that's another thing that they're trying to draw the line between here, is that a lot of times in the kind of in the evolution of the Christian faith over the course of time, there was always this idea that that life wasn't like this existence, that life was not some grand thing necessarily. And this was oftentimes a lot of things where you would see people doing crazy stuff ultimately only just to die, basically. And that was, I would say, also another thing that made it so militantly like spread over the course of time, is that people just do absolutely crazy things with no fear of death, because they, you know, believed that they would be, you know, carried on into, that too, living with their God and stuff like that. So in the standpoint of what that love is for someone like Thor's, you know, he knew in some ways, or he didn't know in some ways, but what his actions were more important than his survival, than his actual life. I don't know if that's actually translated through the story that the Vikings told, but I guess because we know a little bit more of the narrative there, we know Thor's was a Christian essentially, and you know, his actions were ones taken to bear the burden himself, to sacrifice himself as the you know,
it was something where he took on a perspective that was not the traditional perspective for, you know, for just people in general, but especially for this time period where it was everything you could do just to survive, right? You know, it like if it's the, like, what's the I forget the psychologist's name, but the hierarchy of needs, you know, and like the top one is self-actualization, and the rest is like, you know, comfort and like, you know, food and security and things, you know, like physical security and things like that. It was this thing where he took on a perspective that no one had really seen before, where suddenly all the things that dominated their lives, that wasn't what he was worried about.
Oh,
you know,
gotcha.
and that's suddenly where it's like, what perspective are you seeing? Where are you standing that lets you see something other than all of this?
Right.
Because I want that, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why the mercenaries are even talking to the priest, you know, because he made some claim about, you know, something more important than gold and women, and they're like, what? Pfft, there's nothing more important than those things. That's the bare necessities of life,
right? And then they go, so what is it?
So what is it exactly?
What is exactly?
Like, is it this thing? Because like, you know, like we watch each other's backs, right?
Right, and they even acknowledge in some ways how great that is.
Yeah,
because I think in some ways they hadn't really thought about it in the like, let's measure the value of it, like kind of thing. They hadn't weighed it up against anything. They were just like, well, we have it. And it's amazing. Yeah,
exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then when he's told that there's something great that, you know, goes beyond these other things, they're like, well, I mean, our brotherhood's great, but depending on how much silver is, and then they're kind of poking fun at each other, you know. Like,
I love that. That was great.
Like that was really good. So what they're wondering is like, well, then it can't be that, because, you know, if you gave me 1 million pounds of silver, they're like, what's 1 million? I don't know. It's a big number.
Yeah,
but
it's a new kind of coin. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, there's something beyond that. I love it because the priest in his character is one that, you know, is just kind of the unfortunate one stuck with this whole band here. Mm-hmm. And we see that he's not in any kind of Stockholm kind of syndrome or anything like that. Once they get to the village, he's like, everyone run, like get out of here. He doesn't mind taking a beating and everything like that. So in some ways you could see that he is trying to practice the love that would lead to his own death, but maybe would save one or some of them.
And maybe would save him.
And maybe would save him.
Because like everything about him just bleeds like self-hatred and guilt. Like the idea that he's messed up somehow, or that he at least does not think very highly of himself. You know.
Yeah, he seems depressed at the very least. Yeah.
Right. And that, you know, I could definitely see it being something where he's like, if I can save them, if I can somehow make up for some past wrong, right, then maybe I'm okay.
Because what I was bringing up earlier, in that I don't feel like he's thinking that it's something that's possible for him to be that true warrior. I think it's just that he had never seen evidence of it. So an example would be
like
that
himself or in others.
In anything. In that when he's going about his life or what have you, he was at the monastery, he was doing his due there.
Yeah.
I think at some point in between that and there, he experienced the world and literally lost his faith. Just literally abandoned it. Now I think what he's is in that state of, well, that's all he has.
Exactly.
But it's not actually all he has, because he has the drink. So the drink ends up bringing him more closely to looking straight at himself as for who he is. So then he goes into the self-hatred, guilt stuff, and then goes, well, I should at the very least try and drone on the things that I believed at some point, because they might have some value.
Right.
So I think it's more of a thing of where he never saw that until he heard of the story of Thor's, and that's why he freaked out.
I definitely am on board with that. Yeah.
And it's more of the, well, that guy died, but is that what this is about? Was that the real thing? Like,
the idea that like if his life up till this point has been just a life of basically desperation and trying to, you know, cling to that one thing that he has left, or two things that he has left. All of a sudden he sees someone that actually did it. Right. That wasn't just doing it from a sense of desperation or guilt or whatever, but truly believed that the tenets that he talks about. And that would shake someone to the core. I know for me personally, if I was in that kind of situation and I saw that someone had actually done it, even if it was not even seeing someone do it, just hearing about it.
Yeah.
It'd be like, one, that would make the guilt even worse, because then I'd be like, oh, well, damn, I guess
possible.
It is possible, and I've been failing, right?
Yeah.
But then also, maybe I can turn this around. Maybe I can actually be the kind of person that I always wanted to be. You know.
Okay. Yeah, I wonder, because his position was one when he was introduced and that he came with Ragnar and Canute. I wonder if he was at some point the kind of the one giving the general Christian teaching of sorts being passed on to Canute, because Ragnar, I mean, I'm sure he's converted or what have you, but I don't see him being the one that actually scholar. Yeah, he doesn't seem to be the scholar type. Right. So if anything, I feel it's weird that we have this guy being the one that's there.
Right. So you wouldn't expect a drunk priest to be the one teaching a prince.
Right. So I'm wondering if it's more of this was just necessity. Sure. And they just grabbed this guy from a monastery that they raided at some point and were like, hey, you're coming back. You're coming back to stay with us and teach a prince. And over the course of time, they probably rewarded him with stuff for his things, and that's where he got into the drink and what have you. And now that's his crutch. But I find it interesting just to think about the idea of the religion of this character being one that he would actually hold anything on, like he would hold on to at all. Otherwise, he's absolutely like whack crazy. Because imagine this is my headcanon, but imagine essentially you get told you're going to teach this kid how to be a Christian, what have you, so that it will kind of, lead them up to be a strong person or what have you. But his father is a, marauding, raiding, pillaging, king who is making living hell go out to basically all these people and areas and territories and what have you.
That'd be a bit of a contradiction that would need to be reconciled.
Yeah. So maybe in some ways we can bring in a little bit of where that's kind of where the kindness or the timidness of Canute comes from, is a little bit of that being just passed along to try and make sure that, regardless of what he does, like, I don't want this one to end up being, like his father.
Yeah.
I don't know. I extrapolated way too much out of that. You had some really good insights. Sorry for interrupting you about that earlier. But we've got Askeladd and company in this village. They slaughtered everyone. Thorfinn was non-existent this episode.
Yep.
So that's something that we'll be saving for later. This was more about the world that we're in right now. This was an episode kind of focusing on the world that we're in, the people that are in it, and the beliefs that people hold to while they're in this world. And I gotta say, it's so brutal seeing how the daughter essentially got what she predicted would happen. She was worried that she would be separated from her family. And
that they would go to heaven and she wouldn't.
And now she has no way of knowing. She has no way of knowing other than her faith. So in some ways, she holds even tighter to her faith.
Right, because that's literally, other than that shiny ring, that's in the clothes on
her
back.
The only reason
that's all
she's
she
alive.
Has. Oh yeah.
The only reason she's alive is because she stole the ring. Like, do you see the the causal link there? That's very interesting.
Right. And like,
and you could call this world hell if you wanted.
Oh yeah, and like with the guilt that she felt over stealing the ring, well, now add on top of that survivor's guilt, but then also the idea that well, she's going to cling to this faith even tighter because that'll at least keep her walking through the snow.
And isn't that so twistedly beautiful? Like this combination here. You have this part here where she gives up, basically.
Yep.
I assume that's what she was doing. She collapsed not because she was tired. She was tired, but she probably could have kept going. But it's I'm elated.
She was mentally defeated.
Well, okay. I'm going to go for the other side of things where she says that she was elated. I think that she was so happy that she could believe that they were in a better place than she was right now. That she collapsed and goes, I don't care whether I go to heaven or hell at this point.
Okay.
I am so happy for them.
Yeah.
And then, if we want to get metaphysical here, it was her love for them in that moment that gave her the strength to get back up again.
Which, like, if you think about it from the whole idea of, like her questioning, like, her mortal soul and all that stuff. And, like... Because she'll probably see it as basically God touching her and saying, keep going.
Your time is not up.
Right, your time's not up. There's, there's still something, some good that you can do in this world, maybe, right?
Yeah.
And, Yeah, and like the idea that while she's thinking that she's such a horrible person, she then also has the selfless love of being concerned about them and being like, well, I'm glad they're okay.
Yeah.
You know, even if I'm not, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah. There's a certainty to hope when it's real that is attractive also. So there's something that denies reality also, I would say, when you're certain regarding your hope. And her hope that they were in a better place or what have you, and then her feeling elated shows that she was certain about it in a way that, you know, she couldn't deny the physical and emotional response that she gave, almost like doubly confirming back that she believes at the very least for them.
Oh yeah.
And if she can believe for them, like how much more so could she believe for herself?
And you know, is this all something that's just brought about by insane intense trauma that causes her to cling to what little, you know, shred of hope that she has for something beyond this? It could absolutely be that, right?
Oh yeah.
But, you know, well, of course it's in your head, Harry. Who's to say that doesn't make it
real
any less real?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I just love that was the way they ended the episode, even though I thought the way they were going to end the episode was the way they started the episode, with the axe coming back with the blood and all of it, basically telling us that there was going to be a slaughter, or at least death in the winter kind of thing. So it's like that minor spoiler. But instead, we end up having the episode end after that moment gets repeated. And it's with her kind of realizing, oh, okay, I can get back up again.
I gotta say, I love it. I really love the motif of waking up in the snow. Whether it's for like a positive thing or like just after a horrible thing or whatever. But now that I think about it, like whether it's like it's usually used in like OPs, like for like, you know, Spice and Wolf or Clan Out,
right? And they're already like that, lying in the snow.
And then they wake up, right? Yeah. You know, but I love it, and usually it's with a, you know, orange or brown haired anime girl. Now that I think about it, but
really,
yeah. Oh, weird coincidence, but you know, okay.
Because I don't think I've seen too many of them, but I love the idea of it because I understand how it would.
It just works so well here.
Yeah.
So like I don't know. Man, this is one of my favorite episodes of the show so far, which feels weird to say given that it did so little with the actual core characters, right? Like we got more with the priest and like the two mercenary bros than we did with like Askeladd and Thorfinn.
Yeah, this feels like it was a part of the manga that was very core to the themes of the story. And they're like, okay, so how are we going to adapt this part and give it its due justice without having it take up too much time? And woe be to anyone that calls this episode filler. Oh, because
man. If this was filler, or if filler was this,
yes, there would not this is your equivalent of like filler, then this is some damn good filler.
Yeah. Oh man,
because what we have here is something that I think I could definitely rewatch this episode and get even more out of it.
Same.
Because there was also the scene with Askeladd and Ragnar, where we don't have the context yet as to that they're literally standing over the precipice of a village, wondering whether or not they should turn back. And then we realize, oh, that's why Ragnar is saying, like, really wanting them to turn back.
Well, and also the whole idea of, like, Ragnar asking for Askeladd to not basically kill all these people, and Askeladd being like, nope. And the fact that it's just him and Ragnar there, it's like the parallel, the connotation, the foreshadowing that one day this will be you, Ragnar.
Yes.
Is not lost on us, and there's a very good possibility it's not lost on him either.
Oh no. But also I wanted to bring up the other thing of where Askeladd has been essentially touted as the one who has the plan to save these this was talking about the Welsh originally, but you know, he speaks the language. And I'll just let you know that, like, you know, this was a long time ago and stuff, but there would be minor dialect differences and stuff between Welsh and, you know, some of the others. Now, they might all speak a very similar language. You know, I would say for the most part, it'd be pretty similar, yeah.
Oh, and the idea that when that's what Askeladd was doing when he was talking to the family there.
Well, the thing that Askeladd essentially looked at his people also somewhat, because he could speak their language, because he was the only one really that could speak their language. And just decided, yeah, no.
Right.
No, this is the kind of person I am.
Yeah. It's because it very much felt like a reminder to the audience, this episode, of like, remember who your main characters are.
Right, exactly.
Right? The idea that we can have like kawaii des, notice me senpai Thorkel, and he's adorable, and and we love him,
and he slaughters armies,
and he slaughters armies. And the thing is that, well, when it's armies, it's like, well, we're all here to slaughter each other and have a good time. It's just
right.
Yeah, it's all good. But then it's like, oh, what about the villages? It takes a lot of food to feed an army of 100 guys. Where's that come from?
Yeah,
and the children too. Yep.
I appreciate that this show isn't edgy when it could be. Also.
Yeah, like the idea that it just did like the axe rising and falling, like that was perfect.
Well, I mean, they showed blood in the head falling for a brief bit there.
Yes.
But my point is that there are other shows where, in order to sell that this is a dark, gritty world,
we're going to see all the people dying.
Well, not just that, but we're going to see the blood like splatter all over our characters and what have you. But we don't need that brutality to understand how brutal this is. Because when I think about the future, I think it's important to remember who's watching this slaughter.
I know.
Place.
The fact that they're talking about Canute needs to learn, and Askeladd saying very much in the presence of Canute, like this is what's best for Canute,
essentially.
Oh yeah. Yep.
See, what I love about Ragnar is that he is basically the helicopter mom. It's brilliant. The idea that the helicopter mom isn't able to protect their kid from seeing everything that makes the world what it is just too real. That's just real life. Yeah. Now this is a very brutal example of it, but Canute saw this.
Canute will remember this.
Canute will not only remember this, but I think this is going to potentially be an example of what happens when you isolate your body from certain germs, from certain bacteria, to the point where you're like,
you don't
your
have
immune
any immune system for
is non-existent.
Right.
So when you see the dark, brutal things of this world, it might germinate inside you a little bit quicker than it would for someone like Thorfinn.
Sure. Well, yeah, because imagine like the whole idea that you've had all these other people doing all these horrible things to you your whole life, and then suddenly you see like, wait a minute, seeing that same brutality, but it working for you. I don't know. That could.
No. Oh, okay. You're taking that way. Okay, gotcha. You're saying that he's seen a bunch of brutal things already?
Well, yes, but
I would say Canute's seen almost nothing of that.
Okay,
but what is your angle? What is your
I'm
angle?
talking about like with his family and the backstabbing and all that stuff, and the flash we got of him sitting in the chair with the blood, going in front of him.
Okay. I was thinking of the armies and stuff.
Yes.
Because I totally know what you mean with regards to the intrigue and stuff like that. I feel like that's more of that's less brutal, and it's more just cold. The idea that you would see people just, uncle passed away last night.
Right, because it's something where it's the
cloak and dagger kind of stuff versus the brutal, violent, traumatic kind of stuff.
The idea that these people did nothing.
Yeah.
These people did nothing.
Yeah.
They're all dead.
Yeah.
They're all dead.
Because I feel like almost in some ways that stuff, if you put that next to a child, that would make them cold. And I definitely feel that with Canute a little bit. But what I feel this would do, if presented to a child, is it would make them apathetic to violence and brutality of just murder, just
which in a way
wholesale
is
slaughter.
Cold, yeah.
Yes. But
right, for this specific kind of slaughter.
Right, because in that instance, those were power struggles.
Right.
This was not a power struggle. This was just wholesale, just barbarism, execution. No, there's nothing that these civilians could have done.
Right.
Whereas in the power struggle thing, it felt like it was just the person who had the best edge on the other person, probably. The person who slipped their dagger underneath the person's belt fastest.
When no one was looking.
When no one was looking. Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
a lot of discussion we got out of this one.
This episode was so good.
Thank you so much for sticking to the end of this discussion. If you did, hey, what's love to you? Let's get philosophical up in this comment section.
Yeah.
So all the people wondering in the rest of the comment section will be like, wait, why are all these people talking about love in the comment section?
This is Vinland Saga.
Yeah, that means you got to the end of the discussion and you're awesome.
There you go.
So thank you all for watching this with us. If you want to check out the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length reactions there. And all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us about these stories, about anime in general, about, philosophical stuff, about what love is, all that good stuff. And you can also talk with Jake about the book he wrote.
That's right. In case you didn't hear my sci-fi novel Battle Lines, it's available for purchase on Amazon. Links in the description below. Go check it out. Leave a review. Also, leave a review on Goodreads.
Oh, yeah.
If you got the book but haven't really left a review yet because of Amazon shenanigans, Goodreads. Boom. There you go.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.